Divination spells, a category of spells which is mostly used for gathering intel. When they're used correctly, they can be insanely powerful. These divination spells have a bunch of specific tech and strategies in them, and they're fascinating to me. This is what makes optimization so fun to me. I'm going to focus on the 2024 variants of the spells, but they're 99% the same as 2014, so it really doesn't matter. If you're a roleplay guy or you like clever things, you're going to love this video. Welcome to Pack Tactics, where I can tell the future. Your mind is going to be blown. So the divination spells can be divided into maybe 7 categories. Let's start with the ones related to awareness. They're pretty straightforward compared to the others. These spells affect your senses so you can notice more things than usual, like detect magic, detect evil and good, detect poison and disease, detect thoughts, identify, see invisibility, and true seeing. Most of these spells do exactly what they say on the tin. So let's just talk about the special ones first. Identify is a lot broader than most people would imagine. If you're faced with a magical door that requires a password to open, the password is very likely part of the knowledge on how to use the door, which is a magical object which Identify can target. So you're very likely to get the password by just casting the spell. Gator, believe it or not, told me about that. Isn't that super cool? He spends so much time theory crafting how to break into things. That's what he does. Anyways, see invisibility and true seeing have a funny quirk. They both allow you to see invisible creatures and objects. However, they can't see invisible forces like wall of force or force cage. It's pretty cursed. If you want to know more about that sort of stuff, go to my wall of force video where I go on like a rant about it. Let's go back to something useful again. Detect thoughts can be improved in a very easy way. You can read the thoughts of those nearby or probe their mind for specific information, with the risk of ending the spell. If you just talk to them about the topic you wish to know about, then they're gonna start thinking about it. And if they don't, well, you can just risk the saving throw then. It's pretty simple. The rest of the spells here are pretty straightforward stuff. I don't really think I need to mention anything, so we're gonna move on to something more interesting. Like Rolled Anvil, I feel like a god among mortals with this powerful tool. I can shake mountains and cause destruction across the land. The best stories have the biggest conflicts. You can be a god too and shape your world in however you wish. Sunshine and rainbows? Or gators with hamburgers? And it guides you on what to create next. You're always adapting and you'll never run out of things to do. Once you fill out all the necessary boxes, you've got a world with things for your players to do. And who knows, maybe they can help you shape the world even more with their influence and actions. I think their exploits deserve to be immortalized in the history books. That makes the world feel very real and personal. Their time at the table is truly treasured. I highly recommend checking out World Anvil. Use the code PACK at the checkout to get a 51% off any yearly subscription. Back to the video. Next up is Remote Observation. I'd say Beast Sense, Clairvoyance, Arcane Eye, and Scrying fits in this category. Beast Sense, which is the lowest level of the bunch, could easily be used with a friend's familiar with special senses to affect enemies that aren't able to see you, but you can see them. A bat with blind sight is a good example. Or if you want to track something from a safe distance, you could buy a tracking dog like, I don't know, a bloodhound? Are those tracking dogs? Anyways, you can cast Beast Sense on it and just let it loose. That way your party won't get ambushed or anything like that. The dog might die though. That's gonna be sad, but hopefully you get the information you needed. Clairvoyance allows you to either hear or see for 10 minutes from a sensor you place within a mile of you. It's pretty expensive compared to sending out a familiar or a trained animal, but it's still got its advantages over a minion. This is hard to spot, and like 95% of creatures can't do anything about it. And the range is just insane. If you know the mayor is gonna have a meeting with, I don't know, the main bad guy or somebody else super important, and you've been to the mayor's office before, then you could just cast Clairvoyance and just spy at the meeting. You could do it from the tavern. They'll be completely clueless. And you can bonus action switch between seeing and hearing. Arcane Eye is pretty good. Back in Xanathar days, I went crazy for this spell. It's similar to a familiar, but it's better because, well, it's invisible, it lasts for an hour, and it can squeeze into tight spaces. It's not a ritual though, so it is an expensive 4th level cast. but it's incredibly good at doing its job. It's better than Clairvoyance and Beast Sense too. I don't really recommend using Arcane Eye for dungeons, but depending on the context, this could be a good idea. And finally, there's Scrying. This is a long spell. This is also not a ritual, but I've definitely seen it be used more than Arcane Eye. That has to do with, one, its range. It can be anywhere on the same plane. That makes it unlikely that spending your spell slot for information will negatively impact any combat negatively because of resource expenditure. Two, it's a lot more powerful, which makes it worth prepping more. And it being available to warlocks makes it more accessible to the party in general. And three, there are multiple magic items that give you this awesome spell. Almost all the crystal ball of something give you this. And just as a reminder, and this applies to Clairvoyance too, to some degree, with Minor Illusion, you can make canvases, make a picture of a person or a place. So if there's like visual information you don't have, but your party has or a quest giver has, and they have this spell, then they can help you. They'll just make a picture and you'll be like, oh, okay. And that will make it a lot easier to cast the spell. Now let's look at some of the communication-based spells. We got Beast Bond, Speak with Animals, Comprehend Languages, Tongues, Sending, Telepathic Bond, and Telepathy. Beast Bond allows you to telepathically speak to an animal, and you get advantage too, but it's very situational. Speak with Animals lets you talk to any beasts for the duration. And this is insanely powerful because, well, the NPCs you can communicate with more than triples basically, and these NPCs are really easy to take advantage of because they're stupid animals. They usually just care about food and survival. And any forest or jungle, at least for me, just feels like a big city, really. A city full of NPCs. It's a dangerous city though, but I would rather be here than the slums. There are smarter people in the slums and they want your money. I made a whole video about Speak with Animals. I have so much to say. I highly recommend watching it. Communication in the communication game is insanely broken, especially if you can more than triple who you can communicate with. You can also make more friends too. Comprehend Languages is very useful too for very obvious reasons. I think it's more obvious than Speak with Animals is. Tongues is a fancier Comprehend Languages, but it's not a ritual and it's super expensive. I've never seen anybody cast this before. And it's one-sided too, so I never think about this spell. Sending is a classic. You send 25 words to somebody. And this can be to anyone you've met or seen. Minor Illusion, picture of a person works too. So sharing what people looks like is pretty easy. And you can share the message across any distance and even other planes of existence too. Right now in my current campaign, we're dealing with a lot of visions from the past and different dimensions. And people in these visions, we're not sure if they're still alive or not. They don't know anything about us, but the current plan I have is to send them sending to see if they're alive. It's like sending an SOS message. We might not get anything, but even if we don't, I still view that as useful information. Maybe they're actually super dead and gone. And if they pick up the phone, it's like, oh my god, okay. Now we're power gaming. This person is alive. Telepathic Bond is something I see in every high-level game. It's like playing an online game and your buddies are in a Discord call with you. Communicating with your party is just a billion times easier. And finally, Telepathy is basically sending plus, but it's harder to prep and really expensive. Then there's the buff spells like Guidance, Gift of Alacrity, Fortune's Favor, Borrowed Knowledge, and Foresight. Guidance is a cantrip you should try to spam all the time. I've been pretty bad at it lately. You can add 1d4 to any ability check using the chosen skill, which is pretty big, so do try to spam it all the time. Chronergy and Graviturgy wizards get access to Gift of Alacrity and Fortune's Favor. Gift of Alacrity boosts initiative, which is insanely good, and it's a very big boost too that lasts for a very long time. It's one of the best first level spells in the game, especially if you're rest casting with it. But that's harder to do now in 2024. Sometimes just winning initiative just determines the whole fight. It's just easier to put down immediate control and take them out of the fight. Fortune's Favor is very interesting. It can potentially give you super advantage to any d20 test. But it's very expensive with a second level slot and it consumes gold. On top of that, it only lasts an hour and it just happens once. Although you choose when it happens. This is basically like like heroic inspiration. Borrowed knowledge is not worth it at all. And foresight is a fantastic 9th level spell. It's a bit overshadowed by wish and shape change and true polymorph, but this is still an incredibly good pick. And it's also the best spell in the game to rest cast with. Next, we've got tracking and location spells like locate object, locate animals and plants, locate creature, warp sense, and find the path. Locate object deserves its own video, it's so good. Maybe I'll do that next. For now, check out the Tabletop Builds article. Generally, this spell can basically be used as a better version of locate creature, if you know what they're carrying on them. Make sure to use the triangulation to figure out the exact location of objects. If you can figure out 2 different positions where you just enter the 1000 radius, you can figure out where the item is. Draw a circle from location A and B, and where the outlines of the circle meet, inside of that area, you'll have a good idea where the object is located, and you just go from there. I think what I'm showing on screen gives you a good idea what's going on. This spell can detect general magic items, by the way. So after clearing the dungeon, this is a great dungeon sweeper in case you missed something. Locate animals and plants might be useful in some campaigns, same with locate creature, but usually locate object can just do the job. Are you looking for Twingas? Well, okay. Locate the charms. That will locate you the Twingas. Warp sense is really just for planescape setting, and that's because of how weird portals work in Sigil. Normally, you can just see a portal within 30 feet, so this is not very useful. Find the path does exactly what it says on the tin, but the spells I'm going to mention next can do so much more. The next roster of spells allows you to ask questions, and you'll get some answers. We've got Augury, Divination, Commune with Nature, Legend Lore, and Contact Other Plane. Augury allows you to find out if a course of action is good, bad, either, or neither. You can either use it in a direct way, like for example, asking about opening a chest in front of you, or you can use some tech. You can only use a course of action within 30 minutes. But let's say you want to figure out if a boss's big castle is north of where you are. Even if it's a day away, you only care if it's north. You'll even bet your party mates for it. You cast Augury whether there are good results to betting that the castle is northwards. And bam, you've turned it into a yes/no spell without being time limited. You see, asking Augury whether going north is a good choice is too ambiguous. This isn't, so you gotta trick the spell a little bit. I don't know if I explained it very well, but that was my shot at it. Divination is the divination spell, both in name and in school. You get a truthful reply to one question related to a goal, event, or activity within 7 days. This is more insightful than Augury, and it's a ritual, so this is a very nice spell. Next is Commune. This one is crazy. You get to ask 3 yes or no questions. It's really broad with its capabilities, and I will definitely make this a standalone video. We need to talk about computer science. It's really important for this spell. And with tech, you can even use it with Augury. Kobold, what the fuck? No, I'm serious. Specifically, I'm talking about binary search, a searching algorithm. Let's say we know Gator is on the road somewhere between Luskan and Waterdeep. We want to find his exact altitude, or at least nearby it. There's about 420 miles between Luskan and Waterdeep. Let's say we want to figure out where Gator is to a precision of a mile. Let's divide the range between Luskan and Waterdeep into 420 different blocks of a mile. If we ask, is Gator in the southern half? We remove half the blocks. There are 120 left. We repeat the question about the remaining blocks to get 60 remaining blocks. Then 30, 15, 8, 7, and let's say 4 and 2, and finally 1. After 8 questions, we know what block Gator is in. Every time we ask a question, we can remove 50% of the remaining options. It doesn't matter if the answer is yes or no. It just decides which half we remove. Binary searches runs in algorithmic time in the worst case, meaning that we ask O log n questions where n is in the number of elements in the array. You know, the number of blocks. So O log 420 equals 8.714. If we don't know he's somewhere on the road, we could do something similar for the longitudinal position. Eventually, we will find Gator pretty quickly. A logarithmic time algorithm is quite good. However, a spell that's a lot more pliable is Contact Other Plane, which grants you a one-word response to 5 different questions. We can ask what town Gator is closest to. We could then ask how close Gator is in miles. Then draw a map of the area you're left with, and make a 10 by 10 grid where you number from 0 to 99. At that point, you can figure out which number on the map Gator is in on your 3rd question. For your 4th question, you can zoom into this, number them again, and for your 5th, continue the process. You could of course do the same for items, bases, artifacts. It works on anything. You can find anything you want. Isn't that pretty cool? When I learned about this, my mind was blown. I was like, oh my god! This is the sort of stuff that makes optimization so fun to me. I hope I explained it well. Maybe the visuals will help. I don't know. Remember to cast this spell before going to bed, because it can break your mind. It's not gonna kill you, you'll be fine, but you know. Next is Commune with Nature, which allows you to ask facts about 3 specific things. There's some interesting options here, but could be limited by being in a dungeon, for example. In that case, as a druid or a warlock with Book of Ancient Secrets, first use Melt into Stone to get into the stone. Then use Commune with Nature. Maybe your DM says you won't learn information about the dungeon itself, but you know about the dungeon regardless. You know this because you know where it isn't. By subtracting where it is from where it isn't, you obtain a difference or a deviation. It's pretty simple, it's not complicated. As for legend lore, you learn about a legendary person, place, object. Keep on learning more the more you ask. That's the nice part. You can repeatedly cast this spell and ask for more information. And that's it!
But Kubal, there's more!
The actual final one, the miscellaneous spells. They're damage-based divination spells. True Strike, Hunter's Mark, and Mind Spike. True Strike is actually good now, but has nothing to do with divination. It's an effective way to increase DPR for a bunch of different classes and subclasses, especially rogues. And it works with ranged attacks too. And then we've got Hunter's Mark. I've gone over this so many times, I'm miserable. I don't want to do it anymore, it's so boring. It's just a dinky little 1d6 extra damage per hit spell. It's really not that big of a deal, calm down. And Mind Spike is so bad. Sure, it has a niche, but it's bad. But anyways, that's all the divination spells. I hope you had some fun. There's definitely a lot more tech here that I either forgot or there's too much for this video. If I forgot anything, let me know. I'll definitely do a deeper dive into some of these spells. End of video. Check out the dice. Look at them. They roll around. They work. Isn't that amazing? Link in the description. Follow us. Roll with us. Yippee.